Hello there. Welcome to the Radical World Podcast. My name is Jose Leal, and my partner in crime is missing today, but maybe he'll join us. We'll see. Matt Perez, who is my co host here on Radical World. And today we have a special guest who I'm hoping we will have a wonderful conversation, not an interview with. Um, Luis Salas from Monterrey, Mexico, joins us, and we're going to find out a little bit more about Luis. But I wanted to remind us about what the Radical World podcast is about. It's an opportunity for us to understand both the fiat lens that has created the fiat world that we have today, a world of control, a world of command and control, as well as understanding that there is a different lens that we can see the world through, a radical lens that we know if most of us adopt that radical lens, we will have a radical world, one that serves humanity, that serves life. And so, with that reminder that that's the conversation we're going to have today, we have in Luis someone who has both experienced a lot of the fiat world and the radical world in the work that he has been doing, and we want to learn from him, and hopefully he will learn a little bit from us as well in this process of having a conversation. So, welcome and thank you, Luis, for making the time.
Thank you, Jose, for the invitation, and I'm sure we will enjoy our conversation.
I'm very sure we will. So far, we have.
Yeah.
So, Luis, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your fiat background. Like, how did you come to do the work that you're doing? What made you flip the lens, as we like to say?
Yeah, so you can imagine I come from the law world. I was a lawyer, a corporate lawyer. You see the dark side, and then I see many dark situations, laterally with the conflicts and things that sometimes law has to face, that is in every place, but also the modus operandi of the law firm, an international law firm, respected, but it was a place that I don't like to be there because it was against all the things that I think about work at the time with my rookie level of working. And there was pretty the partners were like some kind of semi-gods or gods. So they treat with many respect, I mean servilism. And then we always have like this kind of forcing you to go to the employees, and forces them to sign their contract so they can quit without you giving some yeah, their money, their fees, their
Mhm.
fair fees. So at the end, I look around the partners and say, I look at those guys, and were smart, they were very prepared, but they were desperate, they were divorced, they were, in fat, they were like some even addicts to drugs, to many things. And I say, this is not the future I want. There should be another way. So it was that moments. I mean, I learned a lot, and I learned of many skills, and I was prepared. I have my LLM too, and I feel with all the tools necessary to be a good lawyer. But at the end, the work ethics, it wasn't for me. So I say it's too big to be against this world. The best thing to do is to say goodbye. And when you are on the dark side, it's always, I think, you see some light coming, and that light was the family business.
Uh,
And that thing helps me a lot because at the end, they give me trust in my family. It was a car wash here in Monterrey, in a very, where is all the headquarters, all the corporates, all the office there, and there is many also schools, and it's a place with many tradition. So I started there, and I think it was no more like the technical level I have, but was more the will to do the things differently that take me, to the collaborative, transparency, vulnerability, companionship, and I think that was something that naturally comes, I like to say, I don't know what you think, but I like when now that we do, organizational change, we always said that to do an organizational change helps a lot, or is almost, I don't know, it's a prerequisite or necessarily, but that the main or the leader or the director or the owner of that organizations have already an internal transformation. So he can say, okay, now that I know my battles, now that I feel, a little bit desperate or feel the anxiety of this, there should be another way to do the things. When they have this thing, as I live with the lower and this law firm, until that moment, you see that you can do the things differently, or there could be another way, and you want actually to make change. But when the leaders and don't have this internal conscience or this internal change, it's very hard that they actually want to apply another change, because they have never do a change by themselves. So they have not lived that. I don't know what you think, but
No,
it
absolutely.
was, yeah.
I think one of the things that when you're describing the situation with the law firm, like you started to see, this flipping of the lens, right? Like you started to say, wow, what I'm seeing, you could easily have continued to use the dark lens, right? Not easily, because it hurts. Yeah. That's why they were addicted. That's why they were unhappy. That's why they were divorced, because it hurts to live in this world, right? In the fiat world.
Yeah.
But I did that, right? When I was in corporate for 10 years as vice president of a media company, I was, not only were they on for me, I could see the pain in others, I could see the pain in myself, but I thought that was the way it was, that's just the way it is. It takes a little bit of the lifting the glasses to think it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
Right? You might not see it all, but you certainly see that it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that's the transition that you described when you went to your family business is, okay, there's another way to see this. There's another way to start to act. And when you said that the founders have like this this inner change that you describe, for me, the language we are using is they've flipped the lens. Yeah. And I think there's a difference in the way we describe flipping the lens and, say, having a new consciousness. It's that we see the world different, not just that we know we have to do other things. Because it's one thing to say, we have different practices. We're going to do self-management. We're going to do this practice and that way. And we're going to reduce hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
But seeing that as a real part of how you see the world, not just what's the next practice we need from the shelf. Let's grab a practice. Let's grab a practice. Let's grab a practice, because I'm just grabbing a practice because you're telling me that's the practice we need. Instead of saying, I see this need, how do I solve this need? And now we can grab the practice, but I see the need. Whereas before I didn't see the need because I was still saying that I need to control the situation. Is that?
Yeah. And I think that was the way that the end, sometimes it's this danger that you just mentioned, that we just want to follow frameworks, or what is the best methodology right now in order to implement. But at the end, if we don't change the lenses that we see the world, our attitudes and our behaviors, because at the end, we can implement, like many organizations apply agile. Okay, we apply agile, but at the end, if our behavior is to be, not collaborating, only like use like these, for example, OKRs, in order only to control, right, and only to make pressure. Okay, you have to adapt this framework. If done, the door is open and you can leave. And we don't right, value your opinion. At the end, there is no change at the background. There's only a change in superficiality and the things, and the people say, okay, this is another methodology that we need to implement, that not motivates at the end. So when we see ourselves in a more complete way, in a more human way, it helps. For example, I love it because I don't know if you people what you think about this, but sometimes we wrongly think that we have to be like these geniuses in order to apply another framework. But in this case, for example, was a car wash that we apply sort of agile without, be like all this Scrum and very technique. But we have these meetings, we have open meetings, we have these, okay, what do you think, or what we can get better, or what is on your work, that is not helping you to make the best work you can do, what you propose, So, and you don't have to say, okay, we are applying agile, okay, in a way, yeah, some principles, but it's not the technical thing, it's the attitude. I think we used to say a phrase that is, the thing about change is not technical, or it's not about learning necessarily, it's openness,
right,
to
it's a clear lens, right? It's the clear lens. It's being open to seeing the reality of the situation and not having that lens there. When you were talking about the lawyer, one of the things that I think is really important, as I see it, is that through this transition, because we all know the world is going through a transition, right? And as we are going through this transitions, there are people like you. You're a radical. You're out there making this thing happen, right? And you're doing it because you recognize that not only do you want that, other people want it, and you're helping other people flip their lens, right? But one of the things that I think is detrimental to this is that sometimes we blame the people who have the lens down, and I think one of the things that's really important for us to realize is they're not guilty for that lens. They didn't choose that lens. They were given that lens by society, by their parents, by their school, by their community, by their church, by the whole thing, right? When they go to work and somebody's the boss and they go, oh, well, I want to be the boss and he has power, so I want to have power. You just learn to behave the way that the system already has. And I felt guilty for many years for having done the things that I did. And I've given myself permission to say, I did what I knew how to do. That's all I did.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was guilty. But if I did it today, I would feel guilty because I would know better. Right? Do you feel that that's true? Does that resonate for you?
Yeah, a lot. I think, great. At the end, when you see this change, you actually have more compassion of yourself too, because you say, okay, at the end, I don't try to harm anybody. That's why I think I'm quitting this job and this way. But also we say, okay, behind all this person has suffered and have traumas, have history behind them, and have difficulties have a family to attend. It's not easy also to go kind of against, okay, because I have my work, and they can say, okay, I have a work, and it's okay, and I have to keep it. So it's so hard, because at the end you go, and we grow in this environment of always like competing against each other. And that's for example, in my city, Monterrey is a very industrial city, and before some at beginning of 20th century, there was nothing. They started with the breweries. There's many human people that actually studied outside. For example, Eugenio Garza Sada studied in the MIT at the time. Nobody studied. There was like, okay, this is the lawyer of the city. This is the engineer. And actually he started bringing people from Germany, from Austria to help to do the beers, the brewery. So and then he founded the Tec de Monterrey, in order that people learn and have a graduation. But it was like some of survival thing, But now the times change, and I think the collaboration helps. But we understand collaboration when we feel ourselves needed, when we feel ourselves, okay, I'm not the superhero anymore. I need someone to collaborate, and that guy and that people, that person also needs to collaborate, and that person in a way needs me. And in a way, as I always say to my students, that I want to be the teacher, but at the end, to help you to discover yourself what you want to do in the world. And I say we are son of we are complying in order to both people grow, not the teacher or the guide, like the people that guide you, myself, the facilitator, more than a teacher. But I think we have to change a little bit this of collaboration. But until we see ourselves as needed people, as people that coexist with the other people, we understand that, okay, we can do a network, we can do a good collaboration. Yeah. There's no more like this hierarchy, but at the end we are at the same level. So I don't know if that also resonates with you, but the more I feel like the dark, the more I see that I need other hand to help me and bringing out the best of me. And as Marcel Proust said, if we change ourselves, at the end, even the environment don't change, but if we change, everything change.
Right.
And we start to see the world differently.
Absolutely, and it absolutely resonates with me. And I think I've started to have like a different idea about the word change, because everybody knows change is hard, but that's because we try to force change. We say, oh, I have to change this about me, and I have to force that change, right? I have to make the change happen. Most often, I think that our change, by the time we have the intuition that we want that change is already happening.
Yeah.
It's the recognition, oh, I need to make this change. This change feels like it's a transition. Don't force the change, but look for the things that are going to help the change happen, because we don't change by ourselves. You want to see a change, go towards the people who are doing that change or are already making that change with you, because you will learn from them. You will see them, you will emulate them, and they will emulate you. And you will help each other through the change. This idea that I have to change, I think, is a little bit of a misnomer, that change only really happens collectively.
Yeah.
I can't change by myself 100%. Just not possible. Because even if I could, then the people around me are like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? They're somewhere else. I see a message here from MS Cruz who says that we need this to be successful in the future. How do you feel about that? Like, what do you see as far as if we collectively, not individually, but collectively don't make this change? What do you think happens to us?
Well, first of all, thanks, Hermes, for your comment. Thanks to be here. We say hi to you. And well, yeah, at the end, I like I always try to quote this famous Isaac Newton, what they say that it's not my sort of my worth of doing this, the law, the Newton's laws, but he was over the shoulders of many people, and I think sometimes our generation, because we people that that give themselves to study, to provoke all this evolution in technology, all this exponential growth. We are fortunate and privileged to sort of having all these changes,
Absolutely.
and sometimes we forget about it, that we take it for granted. So I believe many in the collective change. I think, as you said, the leaders more that they are the change. If we have the possibility to open the door to democratize the democratization of the knowledge, of participation, there can be many change at the end. There's like quote, I forget the name, but then in Foresight it said that the future is already there, but it's not well distributed. And I believe in that. There's many changes in like in a village, in a university, but we can open to that change. We can sort of do democratization to that thing. And I believe that we are privileged in this era. So we can, if we have all this communication, if we can, like this conversation that we're having open, and thanks for doing it and to make it happen. I think we have all the media to open the door to these conversations, to these changes. I think that's the main thing, that we don't have to lose this opportunity to the democratization of knowledge and conversations. Hey, Matt is there.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry,
You made it.
I was delayed. And my excuse is I went to sleep at 5 in the morning. So this is about. I know Luis, when he was here 4 years ago or something like that. He was here a while back, and I've been following his work, so it's good. It's good that we have him.
Yeah. Are you having a tough time sleeping, or are you just working and couldn't stop?
No, I did my Perez thing. I got focused on the book, and I said, I got to get this sucker out. And it's out.
Good. So we were having a good conversation here with Luis, just to catch up a little bit. We started talking about the idea of change, and that it's not just one individual that changes, but we need sort of a collective change, right? Those around us, and in our communities, and in our workplaces, and there you go. Matt's made the change. Luis,
Yeah.
we have to get you some of these glasses.
I'm half. I see Fiat this eye and regular side.
Go ahead.
No, welcome, Matt. Hope that you are fine. And while we were talking about this collective change, the next time I will bring my my glasses. I don't use the sunglasses, but I can ask for my brother, that my brother use many sunglasses, and he actually use glasses, so he always put on that. But yeah, and we said we these conversations helps. I mean, we are not sort of geniuses, and we are not like the good guys, but we can provoke these conversations, and we have all the media, all the things in our world because we are privileged. Thanks for the work for many people through the years that we can, open the door to that change, and I think it's something that has no end. I don't know what you think, but it's not like, okay, we are like open now, we are more radical, and that's it, and we discover America, and we are here, and that's it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. We like to think, Matt and I use this analogy. We say, there's a spring here on these, right? And we look out a little bit through the thing, and then the spring wants to come back, and then we pull it up a little bit more. It's a continuous effort. It's not, oh, I'm radical and I got this 100%, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we saw yesterday, what we will see tomorrow. It's a process. It's a journey. We call this a radical journey. And part of the journey is recognizing that we've had this fiat world for so long that was built on this fiat lens, this dark lens of humanity, that we are, we're evil, and we need to be controlled, and we need to do this. And if we don't do it, it's going to be chaos. So we're doing it for a good reason. We don't want chaos, right?
Yeah.
But how do we go deep into that question of what is reality? Because if we don't see each other as bad, as needing to be controlled and all of that, how do we start to see a different reality? Because there's a no end to that question. What is the reality underneath, right? Both for us and for everybody as we go forward, because every context is different, right?
Yeah. Well,
go
ahead, Matt.
I'm going to ask you both. So have you learned anything so far? Have you learned from Jose, and Jose, have you learned from Luis?
In this conversation, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that that reflecting make some reflection of this, make this a stop, or we always learn more like in conversation and sharing, and that's the danger too. I mean, if we never stop, or we never kind of share our thoughts and experiences, we never we never learn at the end. For example, I always do analogy. I'm a runner, and sometimes I want to increase my rhythm and be faster next time, and I will do exercise also in weekdays, and go uphill and do more exercise, and then say, Luis, you cannot hold, and our muscles, in order to evolve, also need some rest, and we live in a very hurry world, so I think this helps a lot. And only schedule some meeting only to conversation, only to get in touch with people is so valuable nowadays. Always, but better nowadays, even better.
Yeah, for me, one, the conversation is very important. As you just said, it's about not coming to a conversation like this and trying to sell. Here's my, framework. Buy the framework. Take the framework. Use the framework. When we have that conversation, practices and frameworks. That's the solution to everything. But not only having a conversation that recognizes that these conversations are important, but also, as you pointed out, and I think that's something I take away so far from our conversation, we're just another step in the process of evolution, of social evolution. And we are, as you said, standing on the shoulders of everybody else who got us here. We're standing on the shoulders of the people who made this computer and this technology that allowed us to be here, because without it, we couldn't, right?
Yeah.
And we need to be really humble enough to realize for ourselves and for everyone else that all we're doing is going through our experience, and not an experience that you have to take, but an experience that you can learn from.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a difference between those two things. It's not, hey, this is what we're doing, so you have to do it. But this is an experience that we've had, and would you like to also participate in that? And we have another cool Luis comment from, I can't pronounce that name. Do you know how to pronounce that name, Luis?
Wankowski Liu. Yeah, we're friends colleagues from TED. It's called from South Africa, so it's good to know more about you. That you're well. I think we met in Switzerland like 8-9 years ago at a TEDx event. So it's good that you write. Thank you. Wankowski Liu.
And thank you for attending our podcast today.
From Africa.
Yeah. So Matt, I wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe share your thoughts as well of what you've heard so far from our conversation.
No, what I heard so far is he said it in his own words, you said it in your own words, we're learning from each other. That's why I asked, what did you learn? What do you take away? And but we got to start it, and the timing is right. I mean, a lot of people, my sons who are 40 and 37 or something, I should know.
Or something is a little scary.
Yeah, I was there, but I forgot. Anyways, they feel that this is not for them. You know, having a career, having kids, and all that shit. It's not. Excuse my French. It's not for them. They don't want that, and lots of people are feeling that way. So the timing is right, in that people feel like, and translate to misogyny and you know, all kinds of the climate change and stuff like that. But it really, radicals, it stands for root, not the radical that I'm going to kill you and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. They don't go beyond the first thing they find. They say, oh, it's misogyny. We got to kill it. Yeah, misogyny is bad. It's stupid, actually. And but that's not the cause. The cause is not that some people wake up and they're misogynists, you know, or whatever. What you said about people not being bad and being good, people are the result of their environment, and that is what I keep taking away from that. Thank God that Luis is on the side of this doesn't feel right. Let's do something about it. That's goodness, but you know, getting to the root is from my own experience. What this has brought to me is peace. I look at TV now and I don't get angry at anybody. I just go, oh, meaning and belonging. This guy is missing that or whatever. And whatever the activity is. And sometimes I get angry at people for saying some things, not even work. Age has a lot to do with it, obviously, but it's just the knowing where it comes from. If you fix that, you change the journey that society's going to take. And that's very reassuring. I used to think that we're going to kill ourselves and all that stuff. I don't anymore. We're going to survive. We're going to define. So that's my thought for the day. Now we need some people like police and ourselves and stuff like that to spread that message. You know, it won't spread itself. It will spread itself, but over many years, maybe 2 generations from now.
Yeah, we have both the technology and the know-how and the time to accelerate what in previous centuries, a transformation like this has taken decades, sometimes centuries, needs to happen in a much faster way, because it can happen, because we will make it happen, but because that's where we're at. That's the tools we now have, the society we now have can allow for this transformation to happen much more rapidly than it did historically.
Yeah.
It's not the first time we're doing this, right?
No. And it's hard. I was thinking of this morning, it's very hard to make this transformation because it for example, Karl Marx, I'm reading their Communist Manifesto again, and he's got like 3 versions of it, and he got the problem. He really nailed the problem. Is people exploiting each other for power. That's it. They're not bad. They just created a system that allows them to exploit each other and stuff like that. And sometimes it'd be up, sometimes it'd be down. You know, you're the same, kind of the same person. And but he got the solution all wrong. He wanted a revolution. He wanted bullets, and he says we can arm people with muskets. And I'm thinking, muskets? Oh yeah, that thing with,
that was the time.
with a ball. You know. And but he wanted a revolution. He wanted it so bad. And he was a fairly young man when he wrote the manifesto with Engels. And so he let part of himself get carried away with that. But he got the solution right. It's basically, I'm sorry, the problem right. It's basically the same thing that we're saying. What's bad is the system. It's not us in particular. The system pushes it that way very gently. And we add more tools to that system. That's the scary part, is that we're very good at coming up with tools and stuff like that. And that's what we have to do a little bit faster, have people listen to the words and stuff like that, have people get pissed off. A lot of people are going to get pissed off at what we're saying. And but get them thinking, because everybody's going to follow a different direction. We'll get them thinking, and put that being in their head that they got to go that way and away from this way, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's not so much that we have to get them thinking, but that they are already thinking, and we need to show them that there is a way to see what they can see that's different.
Yeah.
Because it again, if what they think is they need to follow somebody else's steps, somebody else's process, I've been following this guy, that's not going me in the direction. Let me go follow that guy, because that guy knows what's going on. No, that guy doesn't know what's going on.
No.
The only thing that guy knows is that he sees something different. You have the ability to see something different too.
Right.
That's I think the message here is it's not so much about follow this path, but see the path that you can follow yourself.
Yeah. And that's what I don't know if Jose told you, but last year was more of an interview. We'd ask you what's the size of your shoe and how tall are you and stuff like that. And then we go radical all the way. And this year, Jose said, no, let's change that. Let's change it to a conversation. And so we're all participants, we're all talking. because that's what it's going to be. Well, as I said, every one of us is going to follow his path. Every one of us is going to take what resonates with them and follow that path. And I'm very big on co-ownership. I think that's the answer to everything. But you may not think so until 10 years from now. The good news is you have 10 years. I don't. I'm 72 and I don't plan to live to 83. And so, but if it's a lot of you thinking and following your path and finding new things and learning new things, that's the way it's going to go. It's not going to be, oh, this system is holacracy, or the system is the German guy Leal's, or the system is this, or no. Every when we get together with people in the foreign community, that community would choose what its path is, and halfway through it, you may decide, I don't like this community. They're a bunch of whatevers, falling back to sea. And you find another community that's further along your way, because people will develop differently. You may be going like this, and they're back here. You're going, but don't you see this? And they're going, no. And you go to another community that's more advanced or whatever, and maybe you keep up with them or you keep going. It's no telling. And
I just want to hear Luis, because we've been going for a while.
No, don't worry. I think more, as Matt said, it's not more that the framework if you use holacracy or sociocracy or some agile methodology. At the end, I think that the main thing, or the main attitude, is the openness and the comprehension and the vulnerability which we share into the world. Because at the end, I have an interview like some weeks ago, and they told me, why do you do many things? And I said, I think I know a superhero. I know, as Matt said, it's not like, this is the path. But at the end, we all have a conscience that telling us that we can do better, that telling us that, okay, I can do something for that people, or I can learn, or I can hear better. And sometimes we put the lens on our conscience too, and we forget, because it's the easiest thing to do. Be comfortable, don't disturb anybody, don't do anything, follow the inertia. And at the end, I think that we all know internally that if we do a good life in the way that I do the things that my conscience tells me, and I was not only eager, I help and I try to do my best, and we can answer now and we say, okay, I'm in that way too, and it's not easy, but at the end, if we are open, we're gonna find the path, and every organization, every person has their own time. So at the end, I think that our generation, sometimes we lose sight. You see in the Middle Ages that people build a church or build something, a monument, and they even don't see finish it, but they believe, I'm doing this for the next generation to come. So I think we have also have that mindset. I mean, we are enjoying the trip. You are enjoying the way, but there's many things that we will not see, or at least we will not see well distributed. But what I'm enjoying that way, and then I am trying to be sincere with myself, and that way, I know many people that are also doing the same thing and finding the way. So, and that things that have many consequences, such as we see now that there's many like sort of freelancers or people. Okay, you can have more works in order to to develop in many other things in your life. Not everything is work.
Right.
So I think that is a good symptom or a consequence of things that people want to develop in many ways. And if they be with ourselves like 5 years working in some that enjoy that 5 years too, and comprehend too that person in some years ago, and some years go to another country, or do their entrepreneur thing, and I think that we have to change a little bit of that. We don't possess the people. We are not the controllers of the people.
Exactly.
We are the companion. We are some kind of pilgrims in this world. And I think we are kind of transit more and more to that mindset, and that also we all have that privilege to myself to sort of doing this thing. So I think that the more years to come, we'll be very excited to have many conversations around and see what we are learning through all of it.
Exciting it will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
As in, you're at the edge and you're teetering on the edge. That's exciting.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Thank you.
There's the excitement of the going through it, right? And there's difficult days, and there's exciting days, and all of that. But I think there's when we can just pull back a little bit and have a conversation like this, and think about how much of this is already happening, right? Like, it's people like us have had the privilege of seeing this transition happening all over the world. You talked about being in Spain and about being in other parts of Europe, and you're in Mexico. You've been here in the States. That there are movements like this. There are radicals in every corner of this world.
I call them proto.
They're getting there. They're getting there. But I think, like, we don't always appreciate it, right? We have the privilege of speaking to you today and recognizing us in you, right? Like, seeing in you what I've become, right? And that's there's a privilege in that, and there's a privilege in being able to recognize that I've changed. If you understand what I'm saying, it's seeing you, seeing me in you. If you understand, that to me is special. I was at a conference in Lisbon in October, and it was powerful to see other people seeing that in themselves, and being able to recognize each other without a word, just knowing, you too have this energy in you, and you too are ready to do. And so I think there's so much that happens verbally, us trying, us doing podcasts, and us doing this, and us doing that. And there's so much that happens in being, and just being ourselves, and recognizing that we collectively are going through a journey.
We are that kind of mirrors now. I feel this vibe too. For example, when we meet with TEDx things, the TEDxers around the world, or the Responsive Conference, you feel, or with my former alumni of Navarra, that there's like a limo there, and there's a phrase that I always say: we don't know each other, but we, I don't know you where you come, but you feel what we feel it, and you live what we live in that place, even we are from different generations. But and I feel you, and I can say also now, this time with you, Jose and Matt, feel also that okay, we are. But as I said, I'm coming back to this phrase that we don't believe in change until we have this inner change that is conscious. Okay, everybody's is fighting. Everybody is trying to do their life or to find themselves in this world. So until we are conscious about it, we start to see the world differently and say, okay, and because I want the best for me, I want the best for you too. So and we start to hear all the employees or people, our peers, and say, okay, we are in this same ship, with different characteristics, with different backgrounds, but at the end, I want the best for you because I know you want the best for me too.
One of the things I'm going to switch
Yeah.
for a little bit, because Matt and I went to a co-op conference a few years ago, and we both walked out of there going, yeah, co-ownership is if we're going to reduce force in how we work, there is a built-in force by the structure of ownership, right? As even in a corporation, we're seeing it now. The fight between Elon Musk, and the investors and the courts and all of this, because ownership, right?
Yeah.
The investors claim ownership. He's a minority investor. He wants to take out $58 billion as a payment. So the question that I have is, once you get that, what we want to do is help each other. How do we help each other when there's still someone who is the boss, who's the owner, who's in control no matter what? Because our system says, if you're the owner, you're in control.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about that? What are your thoughts about that? Because that was for us, it was a very powerful insight.
Yeah, at the end, that occurs many in my country. You see the different classes. You see the difference between also how the people express, and I said, like in this law firm too, with the the partner and the juniors, and all this hierarchical. And at the end, if we have this hierarchical thing, at the end we don't believe in that. We don't believe in that there is a real change. And I don't know, through the years, I think there's always this kind of behavior and action. For example, and I have many examples through the years. For example, when the philosophers with the Athens, Socrates and Aristotle and Plato, they made themselves, and they don't see like kind of these alumni and teachers. They start like this conversation, the Socratic way, and they was very conscious about it, and universities too. When they start, okay, the value of university is to all of we look for more truth. That's why Harvard you have the lemma veritas, because that was the meaning or the purpose of the universities. But at the end, we materialize the world, and we said, okay, the best thing we can do that you are only a resource, only a product, only a thing. And when we see people, I think we can do that. And it also has to be a radical change in that way too, because sometimes we have the old school, and you have the investors, and you have to say, okay, you trust me? How can I give you the money back? And try to do well. But there's this many things of change, like we know Patagonia, that they give back to the world. Or for example, you probably know Eduardo Garceteo from Frisa. In Frisa, they reach a point and they share utilities. I used to work at PepsiCo in that time, and they do also sort of that thing. There's many like silent changes. It's not like the popular. It's not. And I think that thing should stop to be a taboo in order to change. When people say, for example, oh, that in Frisa, this company in Monterrey, big one, do this thing, and they say, oh, really? How can they? So, but sometimes I mean, this conversation, this podcast, everything of this helps because here in Monterrey, for example, there's many good people at work like Eugenio Garzazada, many things, but we don't know the history of it. So if we can start telling the stories of what's happening, I don't know, it was like something like Humboldt thing, but there's many examples like that of big. So I think that will help too, in order to be, I don't know, it will be sometimes mainstream, but at least be more normal, and then say, okay, there is a way. So I think I mean I love the ownership. How it works. For example, the already is also kind of that sort too. We have sales management, counselor. We in Polymath also do that. We all be transparent and say, okay, this was the project. We were that, and we share the same amount. That was happening when I was in this law firm. We were juniors. We have a big project. We work a lot, and then say, and we receive the same salary. And you see the partners and go, oh, something is not fair here. So you feel like used it. And when we say Polymath, I say, I don't want that kind of consultancy. I want the same level of it. And so we are not that big, but at the end, when we have a project, everyone shares the same. So I think it's a fair thing to do. I do in the small scale, but I know that it could be implemented. Why not in a big scale? So
Right.
It's possible. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Jose told you we have an app developed in Rosillo. Are you're in Monterrey?
The other side of the north.
Well,
Yeah.
So we had an app that was developed there. It's still in diapers, and it's for people to give each other recognition of their contributions. So even though you all have the same title, it could be that you do more or more significant work than the other. Sometimes with the same title, you do one line of code and it changes everything for the good. And sometimes the guy next door to you does one line of code, he screws up everything. It's because of our background, where we come from and stuff like that. But when it comes to money, which is power, coin power, people react differently. We've had at Nearsoft, or the company I was with before, we distributed so much of the money. Let me explain. So money came in, accumulated in bank account, and then we'd say, most of my partners, because I didn't follow it closely, say, I think we take 40% for next year, at least 60% to distribute. And sometimes it'd be the other way and stuff like that. And we all divided by N. So if there were 100 people and $100, everybody got $1. And including the Canadian lady, Rosalba. She got the same sort of, yes, but a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people said, well, I contributed more. I went to school for 4 years or 5 years or whatever, and they didn't like it. And come to find out that because money is coin power, basically, it's different as if we had 100 eggs, we all get 1 egg. Yeah, that's okay. But now you can take this coin power and do yourself a better deal and stuff like that. That was different. So they've since reverted to giving people different amounts, pretty much determined by a committee.
Wow.
It's going to halfway house, but and our thing is, look, everybody gets as much as other people recognize the contribution. Not me, my pets, and and stuff like that. It's more, you see something that you consider a contribution, you give credit to a person, you recognize that contribution. At the end of the year, they're going to appreciate it more because they do what resonates with them. So in case of the Sosava, I was in Hermosillo years ago, and this young woman had been dumped by her boyfriend. He walked in one day and said, "Oh, the thing we're spiritual." I don't know what it said, but anyway, I was here, and she was, like there. I could see her playing a solitaire, and she was like, but I never thought anything of it. And Rosella, the same woman that I mentioned before, the clean, she went one way, had a couple of words with her, and she came back, and she started talking to her. And he said, "No, Mika, it's gonna be better. Don't worry about it. You'll find better, man." And stuff like that. And by the end of the conversation, she said, "Fuck this guy. He's missing out on this, on me and stuff like that." She was more of herself. Yeah. That was the contribution. It had nothing to do with coding, had nothing to do with anything, but it was a freaking contribution to this person. If I had the application there, I would go, and so contribution come in many forms, many forms.
Yeah.
I was at once, was somebody's giving their rest somebody else because they have a good body. If that's what makes your day, fine, go with it. It's not a whole lot of money. And it's not going to break the bank. So understanding what it's contribution in more ways than just the action, but it told me that Rosalba was more interested in the person. That's what resonated with her. So if I wanted to talk to her, I had to relate it to the impact that it was going to have on people. And people take what resonates with them, and that's fine. And you can't force that. No, it's got to be this way. You got to be people at the center and investors in that. No. They tell her how it's going to impact the people around her, and that's as valuable or more than the one line of code or the one line of another code or whatever. It's my that's what resonates with me. Is that
I just want to remind us that it's past the hour, and we've already been talking for an hour and 3 minutes, which went very, very fast. Luis, thank you so much. Matt, did you want to introduce next week's?
So next week, Radical World is Rodney Evans.
Hey.
He's Rodney female Evans, and she's a steward at the ready. I have no idea what that is, but we're going to find out from her, and we'll be at the ready to have a conversation and see where it takes us.
He's great. He's awesome, and he's very, very funny. You're gonna love it. I really, invite the audience to be the next week with you. You will enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, be with us as well.
Good.
Luis, I thank you very much for being vulnerable, being yourself, being someone who is doing not only beautiful work, but is doing it in a beautiful way. And I think that's very obvious. It's the first time, other than the conversation we had pre-show, it's the first time I got the opportunity to meet you and to talk to you. I hope it's not the last, because it was very much a valuable conversation for me. So thank you.
I can say the same to you, too, beautiful people, and thanks for all your work you have been. You're also an inspiration for the coming generations, and I say we are the same age at the end. We have the same vibe, the same thing, and we learn from each other. So I really enjoy the conversation. Even was one more than a 1 hour for me was like enjoying here.
It was
So
quick.
thank you
It was quick.
for your trust, for everything, for your openness, and thank you, Jose and Matt.
Buy the book.
By the book.
I will. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have it stuck in the back, and it was like, how can I bring it forward? I just hold it in my hand. And no, it's important because it gives the basis of where it came from, what transformation was. And Jose and my son and I had an hour or more every week a conversation, and the ideas transformed there.
Yeah.
Conversation with human beings are very important. And I had an idea what it was, and Jose had another idea, and we kind of melded the whole thing together, and it was very valuable that way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you again, Luis, and thank you for waking up, Matt, because it was nice having you. Enjoy.
I'm going to go to sleep right after this.
Awesome.
And thank you for the folks that joined us today. And we'll see you next week at the same time in the same place at the Radical World Podcast. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you. Ciao.